how about this, John? Instead of doing a Kenobi comparison, let's go a little more original, and let's take what we like about Andor and Ahsoka, and let's think about what we might want to see in a future Star Wars show. We got about 15 to 20 minutes to play with this, then we got to do DS9.
All right.
Go ahead, Corione. You have
I'm
some
gonna
ideas.
I'm gonna hit it off here. I've been saying this from jump. I really want to see a Dawn of the Force style story where we have the first Jedi, right? I would actually love to see it as we have two characters.
Al, real quick, I got to interrupt. The first Jedi better be a trans disabled woman of color, or I ain't watching. This is gonna be
Okay,
bad.
then don't watch.
Yeah, I know, right?
What I actually would like is two of them, and I would like.
I can actually do the trans disabled woman of color really easily. It's a mostly cyborg.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been re-put together with half AI, half human, and it's a super intelligent AI. And so the genders
and the midichlorians are just a bad program that went totally wrong. I love where this is going.
No,
All right,
no,
Corione,
no,
it's all
the
yours.
midichlorians aren't a bad program.
It's
okay.
That's the human spirit that comes out because for the longest time it has just been an AI controlling this cyborg.
It's Corione's turn.
Okay, so real quick, what I want it to be is actually two characters. Their gender, race, everything doesn't really matter so long as they're friends. And they happen across a discovery of a Rakan artifact that can teach them the Force. Okay? And they go about doing it, and they're working together, and eventually they hit a point between the two of them where they have an opposite viewpoint of how the Force should be. One's going light side, one is going dark. And what winds up happening is what we're really watching is the first lightsaber construction because it was constructed in anger. And, the first major fight between the two of these guys. And the Jedi not wanting to fight and the Sith determined to win.
I'm thinking a working title of The First Jedi to start, just in response to the last failure. That wasn't the last failure.
Yeah, now that's what I would like to do, but guys, let's hear what you guys have got.
Well, I like working off other people's ideas, and so to Corione, I ask a few questions like, A, what technology are we at? Are we at intergalactic without the Force?
I would say
so far the Force has been more like the Han's Force, where it's like luck.
So here's what I would like. I would like that faster than light travel is still doable. You can get across the galaxy, but instead of taking days, it takes years. Okay? And what has to happen, because I want to keep with the lore and that hyperspace, they developed it by watching the Purrgil.
I would actually be at a place to be able to construct a lightsaber.
Well, yeah, it has to be that, and what I'm saying
object was.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is what I'd like to see is, faster than light travel occurs because they set up a lure to get some Purrgil there, and then they watch where the Purrgil is going and follow it, and that's how they're doing hyperspaces. They don't have the capability to navigate it cleanly yet. Everything is still the technology is still not perfect.
So it basically churns hyperspace travel into old wooden sailing ship style of you have to rely on wind currents.
We're talking
yeah, I've got an idea for a Star Wars fanfic that I will share at a later time.
So here's technology is like Treasure Planet.
Yeah, it's still I guess the best way to put it is we're seeing the hints of where Star Wars technology is going to go, but it isn't there yet.
And there might be one or two people that have it because they are geniuses and the Force has aided them in their construction. Like Anakin was a genius mechanic. Given freedom, he probably could have done so much more.
John, I already like that. I like that. I like the idea of the first Force users basically traveling by hyperspace with Force shield. Something about that seems like an ability that should exist, and then probably be the reason the hyperspace wars happen. But
Okay,
then, of
but you
course,
see-
they can't use it anymore for some reason. We'll get to
So
that.
we have a lot of really like good stuff already coming from Corion's idea because A, he wants to start at the beginning. B, he wants to describe where the beginning of technology was in relation, because I asked. And so like to me, I think like when we do these ideas, it's better to just let somebody start the pitch and we build it like
Sure.
that. And so like to me, I think that the two Jedi should be two best friends. And I think this is where we should get another Obi-Wan Anakin story, except instead of them being father-son-esque, like as much as they were brothers, they were way closer to mentor-mentee. And technically that was their job, which is it's a completely different dynamic. Whereas like best friends fighting each other.
The mentor is the one that goes to the dark side, and the younger one is like, no, this is wrong.
Well, I get this vibe that we can actually do like oh man, it could be really cool. We could do like an Avatar Zuko style experience where instead the Jedi is the one who goes on a holy crusade. He's like, I can finally stop evil. And so instead of him using like all of the Jedi powers, instead like he's going out trying to perpetuate this good. And the dark side guy is like, no, we're supposed to keep this to ourselves. And he starts getting way more internal and starts like getting this Green Goblin relationship with the Force, where the Force is whispering back to himself. And that's where he starts really getting into the passion of keeping it a secret for the Sith.
I kind of like where you're going with this, where it's like inside the light side is a little bit of dark, inside the dark side is a little bit of light. That could be interesting to play with, because what we could do, because my initial plan was to have them be, like brothers or friends or whatever, right? Like really, really close. And their mentor is not a living being still. It's like a hollow recording, virtual assistant, right? And we can see that, the VI, like the virtual assistant here, it just answers questions.
Dude,
it doesn't have any morals attached to it at all.
Really great idea. So these two are on a pirate ship, and they are getting Jack Sparrowed on, like just like in KOTOR, the first planet is like an island oasis, and that's where they find the devices.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's basically where I want it to take place.
But all they have, there's no hologram, no visuals. All they have is the tapes. And so they're both listening to them together because it's their radio, but they're marooned because these are like 2 10-year-old, 12-year-old kids that just got dropped. We can figure out a reason later. But like, that's why they're stuck there, and there is no getting off. There never was. They were legit marooned, and they accidentally stumble on the Force. And so it's their bedtime, it's their story time, and they're educating themselves only to this translated, like this machine that they have is reading it out loud to them, and it's just translating what it's got, the data.
And they could still leave that completely in the dark as to where it came from.
And it's completely gray. There is zero tone from it because it's all translated monotone. And the Force is decided by metachlorians, which are among all living beings. And some beings are attributed more metachlorians due to the way that their bodies have adapted over time. Millennia. And these kids are listening to it because they literally have nothing except for the ocean and this. And actually, so they start acting it out. They're like, what if I could be the Force? And it turns out.
What I think we should consider is adding in 2 droid characters that are supposed to be like, that are there, because that gives each of our main characters someone to talk to about their opposing viewpoints and build that on screen. So, for example, the 2 droids are getting to sit there, and one of them eventually goes to the other one and is like, I'm really worried about kid A, because they're really getting into like they've withdrawn from everything. They're getting into the serene space, but they're forgetting to do like important regular day stuff. And the other one's like, I've got a problem with the other one because, oh my God, they're turning into this little monster and I don't know what to do about it.
One nanny droid, two voices that keeps the record files separate.
Yeah, keep swapping them. Yeah.
So hold
That
on,
would be
hold
good.
on, hold on. We're talking about a show that's the origins of Star Wars, and I put one in the, one of my working titles, Start Wars. The beginning, right? Right.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I think I've actually got a good title for it. Flashpoint.
Yeah.
The origin of Star Wars.
Yeah. And I think what they're eventually going to wind up doing is between the two of them, they're going to eventually realize that they do have the capabilities. They've learned enough force craziness to be able to get off the planet, but only if they work together. And it's so hard because of these two diametrically opposed viewpoints.
No, I think that's the worst part. They
Yeah.
get off because they're always best friends. And it's
Yep.
not until they finally get to civilization where the separation becomes clear. One
Yep.
is like, I'm going to stop all the bullies ever. And the other is like, no, we need to hide this. We'll be cast out for being
I
magicians.
really like the idea of
That's
having
like, oh,
the
dude.
dynamic of one being older and the other being younger. And your idea, John, about the one going on a holy crusade, being like, for goodness, do the things right, we're going to justice to the thing. It's the older mentor. He's leading the way, and he gets overzealous. And
Bro,
that's where
I think it should be the younger brother.
And he eventually goes Sith.
I got it. I got it.
All right. Hold on.
It's got to be 13 and 10-year-old, younger and older. Older is the one that keeps it a secret because older was present when mom and dad showed signs of the Force on the ship. Mom and dad, whoever is on the ship that got them marooned. And that's why these two kids were cast out. They're like, we're not dealing with witches. And so they burned the parents and left the kids because they're like, they're just children. And so older brother is like, hide the powers. Younger brother is like, I'm a hero.
Dude, I love that. And I love that they, the characters that we think are going to be the Jedi and the character that we think is going to be the Sith, it's actually the opposite.
And they flip it.
Right? Because the overzealous nature of being the hero. And I think
I'm going to go ahead and put spoiler alert back on for now.
Well, so I think we do it that way because like one of the things that they actually have the benefit of is the true true explanation of the midichlorians. So like we the art of war, for example, is one of the greatest examples of how to run war. If Alexander the Great had the art of war translated and he could read that, he would have literally never lost anything ever, right? Because it was so logistically accurate that it still exists.
Alexander didn't lose anything. He died because he got drunk on bad booze.
Right, but that's part of the art of war, which is maintain your body. Like,
yeah, well, true.
A good general is a healthy general, and that's all part of it. And I think that's like one of those things that like old text, some of the texts actually knew the most logical ways to do things. And what if there was a logical path to doing the Force? And that's what Yoda knows. But Yoda also knows that trying to explain that to anyone is ridiculous, but also explaining that to anyone is an answer for super dark side ninjas everywhere, right? So first, like, obviously what we're going to see is a rise of these overzealous, practitioners of the Force. So dark side wins first all the time, right? But then the light side, the one who is hiding it from everyone, he's actually been slowly gathering a tribe and slowly doing, to me, the thing that I've always wanted. This is where I want, like, my desire for the show is Qui-Gon's definition of the Jedi, which is that most of them are small covens on every single planet devoted to organizing and recruiting all the Force-sensitive people into one spot so that the only people that are interacted with are the educated journeyman level Jedi, the knights, the ones capable of maintaining the chivalry code, while the Padawans and the apprentices and everybody else is hidden in
Is sheltered to be safe. Yeah.
and also safe from you. So you're not constantly like, watch this witch kid, or let me scam this witch kid, or let me use this witch kid for my plot to rob the bank. Right? So like that's what the other brother's doing. Well, the other brother, one brother is like starting the Roman Empire, and like the Holy Roman Empire, the Catholic Empire, right? The other brother is slowly starting these covens that encompass every planet, and that's why there's always this continuous fight.
Yeah, we gotta stop. We gotta derail the discussion because Don Ranger's Power has showed up, another great supporter of this channel, and of course my work personally as well, and a huge another big Star Trek fan. But of course his fandom is, yeah, you can probably figure it out. Huge Power Rangers fan. I do enjoy him sharing his passion, and while I'm not a huge Rangers fan myself, you know,
Don Power Ranger.
Nice. I think you'll like that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, here's what I'm going to say about Power Rangers. You may not like the show, but you cannot help but love the music that comes with the
It's
Wasserman
iconic.
pack.
The song, the theme song, I can rock out to it. It's iconic, and I can, like I said, I recently watched some of the clips that Don shared with me on some of the other stuff, and I'm like, oh, it's like The Simpsons. It's intentionally more. Oh, I was taking this show too seriously. Oops.
Yeah.
But no, it's also it teaches fun, good values, and of course, kids get into it, and it's a lot of fun for the children, and that's really what it's about. That show. It's a good first step into pop culture.
I feel like I would have enjoyed it more as a kid if I wasn't told it was the devil. Because most of the shows on television were the devil. Because
I wasn't allowed to
watch. Dude, honestly, I've been learning a lot about Satanic Panic, and apparently, like, it was just easier to call things the devil so that you could get your shows back. Like, I feel like our parents abuse that for remote control power all the time. They're like, this is the devil. I'm going to watch the football game.
Yeah, so some of our friends, they're like, their kids, they weren't even allowed to have a TV in the house. They're like, no. I wasn't allowed to watch very many shows.
And then a lot of these
very, very, very conservative.
But why, though? Because, like, when you look at it now, you're like, okay, yeah, it was like scandalous.
Yeah.
And you could have just talked about it and been like, this is scandalous. Because, like, that was the worst part, is our dad actually took the time to do that for all the shows he liked. Like, he's like, this one's rated R, but I like it. So, like, I'm going to explain why all these things are happening. And sorry, you're going to watch it, and I'll cover your eyes for the bad parts till you're like 10, and then get over it.
Yeah.
Like, that was so much like the energy. So to me, it's just like, you could have done that with everything. And you just kept using the devil as an excuse to just not.
Hey, quick question for everybody in the chat and on the panel. What's the difference between modern day woke culture and Satanic Panic? I'll wait.
The religious overtones.
It's the same thing. It's just the ideology. Because as our brilliant and wise panelist Corione likes to say, is as far as the extreme left and the extreme right, as they get further, they actually come back around and meet because they end up having more in common with each other because they're both totalitarian idiots. And so it's actually like a ring.
I love how you accredit that to Corione, but that was 100% part of the Declaration of Independence Convention. Like, the discussions actually included that. Like,
John, so what you're saying is I was one of the founding fathers confirmed?
I would definitely not. I would not be surprised if it turned out that you're Jefferson this whole time, and I'd be so giddy as a schoolgirl. Like, yay!
I can see it now. Like, you guys have me like there, and it's like, let's see who you really are.
Yeah.
And you pull off the mask.
He's the king of England.
Yeah, it's Jefferson, the greatest president who ever lived, killed the first national bank, and why did you free your slaves as soon as you should have? You were ready to give them up in the Declaration,
and I'm all
bro.
like, and I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you young kids.
Yeah, right? You damn kids and your virtue signaling.
You would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for my young kids.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Now, fear is a powerful weapon, as we have seen throughout the last, well, pretty much my entire existence was, covered in fear porn, and we're finally trying to break through, but then,
But
we have people
that's the funny thing is like it has always been a thing.
Yeah.
Literally never has fear not been a major thing on the major media.
It's a
because,
primary
like,
driving force of propaganda.
Well, no, it's what sells. Fear sells. But like all of us kids stopped buying because we had so many other options. Like video game, I'm gonna get so freaking scared playing a video game sometimes. And guess what? Didn't learn about any real people dying, so I didn't also get sad. Like I didn't learn about any major chaotic event. I just watched the entire Raccoon City turn into zombies, and that was terrifying. And I don't care about them because they're not real, and I don't have to care. So like I get my fear elsewhere. So then when it comes to the media, I'm like, where's the things I can contribute to? Oh, nowhere? Because small municipality government does nothing? All right, I'm just going to go back to watching my fear porn, which is fun video games.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's tilt our, so we have I think we're agreed that Coriote's concept is probably going to be the one that we want to build our little hypothetical Star Wars show off of. I've got a great one about a Star Wars fanfic that I wrote, which I'm going to share with you guys privately, but we could save that for later. That's a whole nother thing that I'm not ready to disclose on this channel openly just yet. Because it's
Dude, I'm not reading another slash fiction.
No, it's not slash. It's just, it's every Star Wars fan's dream come true. That's the best way I can describe my Star Wars story.
Because straight up, man, Wookiee love is pointless. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So I think what I would definitely hire Kevin Kiner to do the music for our show. He's already I'd probably pick either him or the guy who did the solo soundtrack. That one was also really good. If the script was good enough, we could convince John Williams to work on it. That's probably not going to happen. But I really would hate for Dial of Dumbassery to be his last Dial of Box Office
final
Failure to be his final score. Yeah, that doesn't. We don't need that. So, real quick, I'll catch up on some of the comments here. Let's see, what do we got? Daniel Larson says, yes, unlike the marbles, this kind of delay is a sign of confidence. Oh, just reading random shit. Don says, speaking of Ahsoka, despite mixed reviews and reactions, I'm about to watch the latest episode on Disney Plus, so you don't have to, LOL. Hey, let us know how it is, no spoilers. Okay, yeah, we're caught up. So I think our premise is origins of the Force and the Jedi and the Sith. Or as I've now got our working title changed to Force Point. So
no, I think it's actually a fun twist on it because we're saying that the Jedi started out as this evil tyrannical empire, propagated by the idea of doing good in the universe, but doing it so much that they were squashing everything.
Yeah. Now, part of this exercise is to take the good stuff we like from both Andor and Ahsoka and try to apply what we like so far into techniques we'd like to see going forward. So that's why I've already touched on the music. So one of you other add something, contribute something else you like from either Andor or Ahsoka.
So what I think part of it needs to be too
Ahsoka
is
Andor. No, damn it.
I mean, the key is going to make it to the key difficulty is going to make it feel Star Warsy, but Star Warsy in such a way that the technology still feels new, the galaxy still feels young, that things still feel lived in and grimy, but new technology at the same time. So we have to have that kind of mix of like, it's a grimy looking butthole ship, but you go into engineering and like there's this new piece of hardware in there that lets us, attract Purrgil to be able to jump to a different spot. So, there's new pieces being put in play with the old gear, right?
Shit. Sorry. We're still talking Star Wars. Daniel Larson brought up a thought. Okay, so we didn't touch on this. Where Thrawn and Ezra zoomed off to at the end of Rebels. It looks like it was a whole nother galaxy And it also looks like that's where we're going to be going in the story. And so, yes, Daniel Larson, I did want to touch on that because Star Wars Theory, which I am a fan of and I respect wholeheartedly because, he and I have a similar approach to, how to do fans and whatnot. And so I respect the guy entirely. That's why I made my parody of him was totally out of love and respect when he made his little parody about Overlord DVD, which was funny. I thought it was hilarious to do satire. So I satired him back as a friendly response. But he has an interesting point, and I like where he's going, is that it's possible that Filoni is just going to get these characters to a new galaxy, and we're just going to move on. And that's going to be
exactly
new Star Wars
I'm
stories.
pretty sure Dave said that publicly.
And you know what?
And I think there's a lot of, that's the beautiful precedent of things like the Marvel Universe. Like, one of the things Stan Lee did is he numbered his universes. They're weird. Like, the main universe is 634 or something like that, right? And that's just how they accept it. And Star Wars, so that means that, like, Star Wars, because there's precedent, like, he has the chance to do this stuff. And I like that, but man, does it get chaotic if you do it a lot. Like, look at Rick and Morty. Look at Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like, it's just pure chaos if you have this be like a regular MacGuffin. Like, these, even Back to the Future spun out. They were like, we got to go back in time, and then it was like back in the future, back in the future. Like, it was just, to me, it was chaos, and it could have got worse. It didn't, fortunately. Like, they just stopped bankrolling it. But I think if they're going to do the multiverse thing, like, it's got to be a one-time glitch. Because if it's not, it's just exhausting. Because then you can just bring all these characters over there and pretend like they actually did have backstory now or something.
Look, there's any number of ways that we could take this, and there's any number of ways that they can either retcon or move away from the sequel trilogy, and moving away from the galaxy far, far away at this point, and maybe having versions of Heir to the Empire take place elsewhere. There's it still leaves us with the Star Wars that we want to follow, and that's where it's like, okay, we love everything up to the original trilogy, Episode 6. And then, watch Mando season 1 and 2, and then probably just go off with Ahsoka to a galaxy far, far away again. A galaxy far, far, far away.
Far away.
Far away.
Branch. It's a branch in the timeline, and I'm fine with that. Like, I'm fine with taking that branch, but what I'm saying is commit to one. Don't take me on a full tree tomorrow.
Oh, I'm not. If Ahsoka's as good as it is, and we stay in that new galaxy, and that's where our new Star Wars goes forward, and we have Ahsoka, original trilogy inspired Star Wars.
And it's just like, hey guys, we want all their technology, none of the rules. You cool with that? Yes.
Well, and that's the other thing with the new galaxy. New rules could also apply. New physics. New anything.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I mean. Is like, that's your exit. That is how you do a solid anthology style exit. But if it's like, we're going to also jump into this other claymation world, it's like, please stop that. You have to earn that. That's 100 episodes in. That's 400 episodes in. That's not next week in,
Yeah. I mean, look.
That's what I hate about those episodes, like the multiverse episodes, where they're like, oh, this was fan inspired, and it's all just somebody's crayons.
Yeah, I mean, look. I do like the idea of bringing in.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, did anyone see the Milky Way when they pulled up the galaxy map? Because I didn't think to look for it, but I'm now thinking about it. Like, because I'm just thinking in relative distance to the Milky Way, are they going to be in a galaxy far, far, far away, or are they just going to be in a galaxy far away? And that's going to be
probably going to come
that's
to
going to
our
be the
galaxy.
new title. Is they're either going to add another far, or they're going to drop one.
They're come to our galaxy.
Or that's it. Yeah, it's in our galaxy, and they're ripping off my fan fiction, which is entirely.
Oh
awesome.
no, dude! I want them to like travel. Okay, if we're gonna go like balls to the wall, stupid, I want them to like travel to this new galaxy and find like space orcs from Warhammer 40K.
Yeah. So to
Like,
clarify,
let's just get like Tyranids or something in there, man.
yeah. So to clarify real quick, Dahlia says it's Star Wars, but with no Jedi, no Sith, no lightsabers, different tech, different physics. Why not make it a series? So I think different physics is all that I was getting at with the new galaxy. It would still be, oh yeah, we have lightsabers, Jedi. It'll still be Star Wars. It'll just be now Star Wars is not going multiverse. We're going not intergalactic. We're going interuniversal between galaxies now. We're getting.
I think it's kind
bigger.
of a metaphor for we're just leaving that behind.
Bye, bitches.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's
bye,
more of a
Kennedy
metaphor,
Felicias.
I feel,
Yeah.
Which is that's what I'm saying is that's what I hope. It's like I don't think it becomes like this MacGuffin that becomes regular, but also like in doing that, we have this other chance to see a new version of the Force and all that stuff. Because like what I was just thinking about as I walked away back to Corione's idea is if we continued on that line of like one Jedi starting covens, even covens break
Oh
up,
yeah, this
right?
happens in the other
And
galaxy.
one guy starting like Catholicism, even Catholicism.
Oh God, Catholic
No,
Jedi. Fudge.
No, I mean more in terms of like crusades.
I mean, they're definitely
Not
Sith,
necessarily
by
like-
the way, but
This is a Rogue Council episode, but all
Would
I
be
can say
like-
to you, my friend, is it has happened before.
yeah, I know.
It currently is
I
happening.
know.
It will happen again.
Exactly. And so to my point is like anybody with enough power to be like, I am a god, let me use my godliness to change
They're going
the
to turn
world.
into the Inquisition from the Imperium of Man.
Exactly. And so like that's to me like where that goes. But then the Coven person and the Catholic person, they both all have Protestants, right? They all have sects and variations. So like it's very possible that with this dawn of the Force, we have the Jedi and the Sith, which are the two general extremes, like the Republicans or the conservatives and the liberals, if you will, the selfless and the selfish. But then what we start to see is all of these introductions of other versions in the paradigm. Now that we've got the two general big sides, right? We've got black and white. Then we start seeing the different colors start to appear, and we can create them. We can have like the Protestants of this Sith Jedi team.
Well,
that do
hold on.
start doing more good
Let's
when they
not.
start doing
Let's stop right there.
crusades.
Stop right there, please. Let's not make this entirely like based off of Christian theology. I think if we're gonna go this far, and we're gonna have these
Not
kinds
theology,
of breaks.
not theology, not theology.
It-
Pacing of events.
It's
I'm more talking about
okay.
segmentation.
Stop interrupting me, please. What I'm trying to say is we cannot make this about just entirely the Christian history at all. It's okay. I kind of like using the Catholic idea and making bad Catholic guys or whatever. But we need to consider broadening this to all faiths and maybe have like a Hindu style sect and then like a
That's
Buddhist
what I
style
was
sect.
opening it to.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say. Is like these guys. It's
Okay.
like one of them is segmenting literally, nation by nation, planet by planet. He's just starting little covens and then running away, and then starting covens and running away, and starting covens. He's a wanderer. The other is starting like a Jedi temple religion, and in that religion, it starts to segment. Because some of them are like, that's kind of empirical. And the others are like, yeah, so we're going to go just missionary. And they start to run into the covens. And so we start seeing these like more. I'm not trying to regulate anything. I'm more just talking about
I'm just
how
saying,
they segmented.
Yeah,
and
it's just.
So that was,
You started with the Catholics, so they just started eventually the Protestants. Like, oh, we don't want to make this like a Christian origin allegory. It needs to be an all faiths inclusive idea.
No, only as associative in describing the segmentation.
Okay.
Not associative in terms of like trying to tell any one story, because I don't like that.
And that's why I brought up what I said was to just make sure we're
more, because to me, like the Jedi story is basically the Avatar, but everybody's an airbender and a firebender.
Daniel Larson says, with all this popish speak, that's my cue to leave. Have a great night, you guys. Catch the rest of you later. Thanks for tuning in, Daniel Larson. We'll hope to see you next week. And we got the last 20 minutes out. Dahlia Lightwood says, there is way too much political and religious sexual ideologies pushed in modern media anyway, and it's like wokeness. It's killing media because people want escapism, not boring human drama.
Not at all what I was trying to push. My goal was literally trying to use those as a demonstration for like the structural fabrication.
And I
But
understand
the
that, but
actual story events I would prefer were more like, to me, I think we would just watch flashbacks of these kids on the island. And this is how they grew up. But what we're actually watching is as they've
nah,
already.
I don't want to do flashbacks. I'm already against that. We already have that in Andor. We've already done that in Star Wars. We did that with Mando. We do that as everybody's origin story. I think we need to
we can
hard
do
commit.
we can do origin, and then we can do
time
them,
jumps.
Yeah, we can do time jumps.
Okay,
along
what
the way.
about like accelerated educational montage?
Yeah,
I feel like the kid's life stuck on the island. I don't want it to become like a Lord of the Flies experience.
It'd be like Lord of the Flies for 3 or 4 episodes, and then we could start either getting off the planet or time jumping. Or at the very least, actually, you know what? I'll capitulate. I want the first couple of episodes to not be flashbacks. I want it to be, this is the origin story, this is where it started. Now, if episode 3 or 4, we want a hard jump, 20, 30 years into the future to where you're saying that all the different versions of Jedi and Sith sects or whatever they want to call it, should come up with original names. Whatever they want to, yeah. There's like multiple factions. Hold on. There's multiple factions. And then it comes down to make
something awesome.
Can I finish, please? It comes down to creating a 2-party religious system of you're either Jedi or Sith, and we can make it an allegory for control by creating such silly archetypes. And yet the origins of the Jedi, it's like multiple sects and factions because, well, the whole point of spirituality is it can open up to religious interpretation. And that's what it actually.
Oh, dude, I got a great idea here. As we move along the time jump, what would be interesting is at some point, the two groups that, like the two diverging opinions, stop and go, you know what? We should all be working together for the betterment of everybody. They come together, and the Jedi philosophy and the Sith philosophy
and the other multiple
philosophy, and like the other schism philosophies are two philosophies inside a larger order of Force users, and it becomes it becomes more like a difference of opinion for a little while. Like this is just how we go about things in this side.
Schools of magic.
Yeah.
What if
the College of Winterhold? Yeah, we got these guys over here. We got guys over there. They all come to the table.
What if what it is it's these two kids writing these hyperforce things, right? And as they do it, like they're skipping time, but the world around them isn't.
Oh, right? Sorry. I also wanted to point out another
jumping in and seeing what they've accidentally dominoed.